All right. I'm back, ladies and gentlemen. After 30 days. It's been almost a month since my last show on here, right? Pretty sure. Shout out to everybody that's been hitting me up on Twitter asking me when the next show is or if there's a show on that particular night. Apologize. Been super busy, but we back. That's all I can say. Lots has happened since I last did a show. Of course, this show is not an all-sports show, so I'm not going to be talking about the national title game that's going on right now. Mind you, I'm not expecting a great game here. So yeah. Hope you guys enjoy the intro music. I was actually trying to get an intro song just for this show alone, but my guy who does those intros for me, who makes those songs for me, was unavailable. Or at least he didn't finish one on time, but it's coming for sure. It'll be a brand new song, all that stuff. It'll be the MMA only theme. But again, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is the first episode of MMA Only. Again, I persist. I'm incredibly surprised that the name MMA Only is actually available on the internet. Like, I haven't seen anybody else have it. So if you guys know of any show called MMA Only, please let me know. I don't want to be copying anyone's stuff. I don't want to be taking anyone's name and come up with some original stuff on my own, right? Anyway, so this show, as we know, I have Breaking the Law with Eddie Law. I do that one all the time, or I used to do that one all the time. I'm getting back to it as well this week. But the bulk of my shows, to be honest, has been MMA. I'm an MMA guy. Like, I love basketball, I love football, I love, a lot of other sports, but MMA is my thing. So before I start the show here, this show is going to be an MMA only thing. Like, the entire time, it's MMA only. Of course, we've seen all the headlines have been going on so far. Jon Jones, DC gets injured. Jones gets OSP of St. Preux as a replacement fight. Immediately, everyone's thoughts go to, oh, okay, here we go. Here's a softball, right? Well, maybe not. But to start off the show here, I'm gonna start talking. First, I got back into jiu-jitsu today. I've been missing it. I missed the competition of it. I missed the one-on-one-ness of it. I just love jiu-jitsu when I trained it for quite a while before, and then I stopped due to one injury. Two, it cost a crap ton to do it. Shout out to Jesse, my homie Jesse hit me up I'm going to talk about MMA and weather and cars and women. At some point, we got to talk about the women, right? Kira Gracie, all those ladies. Alexa Grasso. She did jiu-jitsu and MMA and all that. So we got to talk about her. Anyway, so I went back to jiu-jitsu today. Was my first. They of course, since I haven't, technically trained MMA in a couple of years now, they put me in the fundamentals. But I'm cool with that. You need to learn fundamentals. You need to be good at the things. Jesse asked, what rank are you? 3rd-degree white belt? Pretty much. I never tested, dude. I never tested. The test where I used to train at, the testing was expensive. Like, you come in on a Sunday and you do like a 2-3 hour thing, and then you might pass. And if you don't, you lost your money. It's like, dude, I'm not doing that. And I was, younger with, very, what are you gonna say? I was light on money, so I couldn't keep going. But so I had to stop for a while. But now I'm back. Went into the day. It's actually kind of fun. Right away, we went into jumping guard. That was awesome. I did not expect to be jumping guard on day one. And my buddy went with me who's never done jiu-jitsu. And he was a wrestler, so he was like tossing dude. He was ragdolling all the other white belts. But it was his first time, and he enjoyed the jump guard thing. He weirded him out, but we're helping out. Jesse says, don't forget about your babe Cyborg. And Mike says, don't forget digging out Chapo's tunnel. These guys. Mike Jarvis, shout out, man. How you doing? Yeah, El Chapo, that's funny. I don't even know that guy's still. We haven't heard anything about that guy, huh? That's just weird now I think about it. All right, so let's get into some MMA real quick. Now that I already got my two guys working. Jesse says, already working on the next tunnel. Hey, look, man, that guy does not give up. You are not catching that dude. Or at least you're not, putting him in jail for too long. Anyway, all right. So let's get into I want to say it's the biggest story. It's just a story, but it's actually kind of important for the 185 division. Yoel Romero was able to work a plea deal with, I believe, USADA, which is good. Because had it been the Nevada State Athletic Commission, he would be screwed. If we know, everyone that remembers, Nick Diaz got 5-year suspension for weed, which is ridiculous. And then his lawyer came in and embarrassed them into cutting that down to like 1 year. So, USADA probably saw the value in not pushing it with Romero and making themselves look really bad in the process. So Romero, if you guys remember, after UFC 194, he tested. First of all, I tested him after the fight, but not on fight night. The test he failed was like from like 4 or 5 days after. It was from days after, so it wasn't even in competition. So it was weird that they went after him the way they did. But he put out a statement today. Well, first of all, let's go over the facts, of course. So he tested positive for this. What was it called? It's a weird, like a growth hormone stimulator. It's like here it is, ibutamorin, and it's a growth hormone secretagogue. Oh, dude, forget saying all this stuff. Jesse's already laughing. He's probably gonna ask me to say some kind of Russian last name in a second because he knows I can't do it, or at least I sound really stupid doing it. But basically, it's described as stimulating growth hormone release, right? And so that's banned. So, Yoel pretty much said, "Hey, I didn't even know I took that." And on the supplement that he said he took, or that he said he took, it's not even labeled on there. So it was pretty weird thing. So fighters definitely start paying attention. But when is this going to stop? And I'm not talking about the usage because that's never going to stop. So, people are always going to get caught. But when is the excuse of I didn't know gonna finally not be accepted? It's kind of ridiculous. So. Anyway, so Romero put out a statement saying, quote, "I would like to thank my family, friends, teammates, and fans for sticking by me through this ordeal. With that said, yesterday I agreed to a sanction of 6 months suspension for taking a supplement 5 days after my last win that USADA has confirmed was indeed tainted. My management team and I will be pursuing legal action against the supplement company within the next few weeks. For those of you that believe me, I thank you. For the ones that didn't, I hope I have given you a reason to believe in hard work. As for the ones that try to ruin my name, we will meet very soon. Hashtag y nuevo." And that translates to "and new." First of all, for sure he didn't write that himself. He does not. Anyone that's heard Romero speak knows that the English language is not his best. Don't forget Jesus don't forget Jesus, and everyone remembers that. Mike Jarvis saying they are so inconsistent with their punishments. Absolutely, not only inconsistent, unfair. Right? They're pretty unfair. Let's be honest. So. It's something that they have to definitely work. And it's not only USADA. I mean, USADA's better. They're better at the punishment thing than the Nevada State Athletic Commission is. NSAC just goes after people's jugulars because they think they're the mafia. They can do whatever they want. So anyway, so that means Joel Romero should be eligible by about July or so, I think, because I think he was suspended in January, so he should be available. I think he might be available for 200. I'm not 100% sure on that, but. It's a 6 month suspension. So he'll be fine. He'll be back and fighting soon enough, which sucks because now Rockhold's still fighting Weidman. We're not going to get to see Romero get in there and fight Rockhold, even though I do think Rockhold would win that pretty handily. Well, of course, after the first round, because that's when Romero guesses out. All right, moving on here. Let's talk a little bit of Jon Jones before we get to the DC thing. Jon Jones finally hired a full-time driver, and I got this one on Twitter. I guess Jones was on Helwani's show, and he said something about, he finally hired a full-time driver and all this stuff. I mean, how many of us, first of all, Jesse, you got beat to it, bro. Jesse put it out there on our show, Encerrados en la Jaula, our Spanish show, of course, but he put it out there saying that, hey, look, if Jon Jones wants to pay me $5,000 a month or a week, whatever it was, I'll drive him wherever he wants to. You got beat to it, dude, unfortunately. So he's got a full-time driver, but Jon Jones fans can now rest easy knowing that if Jon Jones gets in trouble, it's because he's incredibly stupid. Not only incredibly stupid, but it'll be not from behind the wheel, hopefully. That's kind of what we hope for, right? So, so he's finally got a driver. He's good to go. All right, so now let's talk the big thing. DC, Daniel Cormier suffers a lower leg injury. He's going to be out of UFC 197. In comes Vince St. Preux. Now, let's first talk DC. How many the guys have to get injured at an AKA before somebody does something? Or, somebody says something. Sure, the internet, social media, everyone's been talking about, AKA, This is where you go to get injured. Dana White's called them the caveman or Stone Age, gym. I'm pretty sure that's who said it. A lot of people just give him a lot of crap, and I mean, look, you could chalk it up to bad luck. You could chalk it up to maybe they're cursed. You could chalk it up to the fact that they train incredibly, ridiculously hard. But regardless, I mean, first Kane, now DC. When is Rockhold gonna get hurt? Khabib Nurmagomedov, who trains there as well, has been injured ridiculous amount. So you got to start wondering, as a head coach, and I'm talking about Javier Mendez, AKA, you got to start wondering, at what point do I have to pull back on these guys and let them know, hey, you can't get injured. We need to train hard, learn, and get better every single day, but we can't be doing it so much that we get injured. Now, DC says that he got hurt doing some light kickboxing, which is kind of weird. I mean, I didn't get the details exactly on exactly what he said because he was on Helwani's show and I don't listen to it out of habit. I just can't. It's kind of hard for me to listen to it. But even though now I don't know, I feel bad about how they treated Helwani, so I'm not gonna go back to it. Never mind. So okay, so now I got the link here. So Cormier says that he was sparring and practicing and he kicked one of his partners with the inside low kick and he checked it, and the check is what did it. So now he's out, right? And it turns out, he was pretty beat up and he's injured. He's out of the fight. And I'm sure everybody that's listening, everyone that's going to listen, everyone on the internet was screaming for the UFC to call Anthony Rumble Johnson. I mean, come on. That's the fight we were supposed to see to begin with. We were supposed to see Jon Jones versus Anthony Rumble Johnson before Jon Jones got stupid and crashed a car into a pregnant lady and broke her arm, and he ran off jumping walls. Jesse says they need to leave and go to a good camp to not let them kill themselves. Look, man, some of those fighters are going to start leaving. I mean, I'll tell you right now. I'm not saying AK is a bad camp. Clearly, they're not. They've had champions. Three of their guys have been champions. At least three of them. But it's getting ridiculous to the point where they just keep getting hurt. So they need to figure something out. Of course, they're going to be hard-headed and just keep doing what they're doing, but at some point, somebody there is going to leave, and it's going to be kind of like what they did with the Lions, a few years ago, where everyone bailed. Kind of what they're doing at Team Alpha Male right now, where everyone's kind of bailing. AKA will go through that too. Everyone goes through that, but especially with now that your camp has that reputation of all you guys get hurt. Not a lot of guys want to go there. Gonna want to go there. So, and it just says, is it his knee again? No, it's a lower leg injury. So like about the shin area. He kicked. Someone checked the kick, and he dropped in pain or whatever. And then I think the next day he sparred with somebody and he kicked him, or he got kicked in the shin, and he dropped in pain again. So it was pretty bad. So he's gonna be back in about 4 to 6 weeks. So it's it's basically lining up for UFC 200. So check this out. This is what he said. This is a quote he said. I believe it was on the MMA Hour, if I'm not mistaken. Quote, if they're telling me in 4 to 6 weeks I'm supposed to be better, that would leave me with 10 to 12 weeks to train for UFC 200. I could be ready to fight then. The only thing with that is it's a little scary because Jon is fighting in April. I don't know if he will be willing to turn around and fight right back again 3 months later. If he would, I'd love to run it back with him anytime in the summer, late summer, early summer, it doesn't matter. So he wants to fight, according, because immediately when he got hurt, everyone was like, oh, he's running from Jones. He wants to keep on the belt, blah, 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 whatever the hell. And it's, I don't know. It's not. It is what it is. I don't know. Jesse says, well, he has had problems with his legs and didn't fix it with surgery, so maybe it's his fault. It's possibly his fault. I mean, he even said that his ACL has been torn forever, and he was going, he's going to do stem cells to his leg, which I believe is legal. You used to have to go to Germany for that. Now you can just do it in California. They're all over the place. Now that he's got money, he could do it. So it'll be all right. So now we get. Okay, again, I was out there tweeting. All of you guys for sure were tweeting. I was talking about it. I was just hoping. Please announce Rumble Johnson against Jon Jones. That was the fight we were supposed to see to begin with. And who do we get? Ovin St. Preux. Now, I'm not giving Ovin St. Preux, I'm not talking bad about him. He's a good fighter. He's a good fighter. He's not on the level of Jon Jones or Daniel Cormier. Okay, Ovin St. Preux is good, but he's not. I just don't see him being good enough to beat Jon Jones. Now, mind you, he's only an inch shorter than Jones, and I think Jones is going to have maybe 4 or 5 inch reach on him probably, right? Last time we saw Jon Jones against someone his size or bigger, against Alexander Gustafsson, Jon had a bit of trouble. But we've seen OSP fight, and that dude has, he has trouble with everybody. He did knock out Shogun and left his, front of his face, basically knocked it off and all that. But it's hard for me to think that he's going to beat Jon Jones. If he does, it'll be, shock the world for sure, right? But you guys tell me, do you think that maybe it's, maybe this is a softball, right? Maybe the UFC's like, look, we need Jones for UFC 200 or a main event after that. Or not Jones, but we need Jones in DC, right? So you don't give him Rumble Johnson, who could actually knock him out. You give him OSP, who more than likely won't. Mike Jarvis saying it will be the biggest upset of all time. Jesse saying OSP going to get killed. I'm kind of in the middle of you two. It's going to be one way or the other, of course, but I just don't think OSP is going to be able to upset Jones. It's just hard for me to believe that. Now, here's where I got kind of upset. Daniel Cormier offered OSP. He's like, hey, I'll pay for him to come out, or basically offered to pay him or pay his expenses to come out to AKA and train. And I think the best tweet I saw was I want to say it was, I'm gonna go back to my Twitter because it was freaking great. I really, really got a good laugh out of it because it sounds so true. And I have it. Here it is. Brandon the Truth at Brandon Knockout _Knockout NOCAUTE on Twitter. He says OSP officially turns down the chance to get injured at AKA, says he'll be okay. That's literally what happened. That's legitimately straight up, basically what he said. So yeah, of course you're not going to go to AKA with Daniel Cormier and get hurt, dude. It's just, and again, I was talking right there, as I was talking about right there, it's fighters are starting to realize this gym has a reputation, just like Jackson's has a reputation for winners, but it's also, guys with oblique kicks and all this, being very careful and staying away. Mind you, that's just winning. Don't hate on the game plan. Just like Faraz Sahabi over at TriStar has incredible. First of all, you need to listen to his breakdowns. When he does a breakdown, listen to it. It's incredible. But he's basically the gym full of champions and guys that are gonna be champions. Rory McDonald, all those guys. But AKA is getting that just ridiculous reputation for just being a place where people get hurt. Jesse says, will it? I mean, GSP getting knocked out by a tough winner. Come on. Okay, so he's talking about the biggest upset of all time. So, okay, what would be a bigger upset? OSP over Jones or Matt Serra over GSP? I would also say OSP. But I mean, that's in the hindsight though, because for sure, none of us thought that Matt Serra was going to knock GSP out. I mean, none of us believed that would happen. I thought for sure that was going to go into a jiu-jitsu match, and if Matt Serra had a chance to win, it'll be on the ground. But I would still say, I think it would be maybe even up. It would be evened out, except for the fact that Jones isn't the champion. I mean, he doesn't have the belt, but he's like what do they call it? The uncrowned king, you could say, of the 205 division, right? But it's I don't know, it's ridiculous. But DC pissed me off with that whole thing where he's offering, and good for OSP to be like, yeah, thanks but no thanks, dude. I'm out. I'm good. So this is what UFC 200 looks like now, and we'll start from just the main card, right? So kicking off the main card. By the way, there's a fight on the early prelims is to be announced and to be determined. What is that about? It's the feature prelim. So maybe they're going to pull out some crazy stuff like right before 197. Maybe. They're just a placeholder. All right. So kicking off the main card is Yair Rodriguez, El Pantera against Andre Touchyfili. And then we got Robert Whittaker against Rafael Natal. Anthony Pettis returns against Edson Barbosa. It's going to be a killer fight. The co-main event, Demetrius Johnson against Henry Cejudo, which, again, I'll watch Demetrius Johnson fight any day. A lot of people find him, boring because he doesn't knock dudes out, but I don't care. He's fun to watch. To me, he's fun to watch. And in the main event, Jon Jones against OSP. It's just, I don't know. I don't see how you could deny that Jon Jones. Look, Jon Jones should win and win handedly. But I think OSP is going to give him a run for his money for a bit and surprise him. But ultimately, Jon Jones is going to win this fight. And I don't think it'll be, too easy. Or I don't think it'll be too hard to do. Jesse's saying, Jon Jones is coming off a long layoff, so best time to beat is now. Absolutely. Now, people say cage rust is, cage rust is, real. Cage rust is fake. What do you want to say? But you still haven't, fought in a while. You haven't done any real, actual fight. My boy Fang saying, I do pick OSP to win, actually. I don't think Jon Jones will be fresh from this layoff for us will actually be a factor due to all the legal proceedings still on his mind. You know what? That I do believe in. I do believe in not being able to be focused in the fight, in training, anything like that, before or after. I do believe being super focused is the key, and all these distractions that Jones, by the way, does it to himself, but all these distractions that Jones causes is definitely going to take a toll. Now, I don't know if it's going to be enough for him to drop the ball against OSP. But I'll tell you what, I want to be mad at all of OSP somehow wins this fight. I just don't see it. It's just hard for me to pick against Jones. Mike saying, not after all the training he's been doing last year. Yeah, that's true. Jon Jones has been fighting, training hard. Just as he's training now, he has changed what he does, and changes can affect fighters. That's true. He used to not train full time. He would go home to New York and come back to go back to Albuquerque and just do a camp. So that's a huge change, and it really is a huge change. And I wonder how he's adapting to it. But I wouldn't believe that it would hurt him, So that's the thing with Jones. All right, moving on here. Didn't get to talk about C-Mac. I call him C-Mac because Fred Kirby calls him C-Mac. Conor McGregor versus Nate Diaz, and in the main event of UFC 200. Now, there is, I believe, let me pull up the card real quick. I want to say there's supposed to be a title fight on that card, right? Am I wrong? Right? Yeah, there is a title fight. Aldo versus Edgar. Jose Aldo versus Frankie Edgar for the interim featherweight title. That is a co-main event. Okay. And a 170 fight, a welterweight fight between McGregor and Nate Diaz, part 2 is the main event. Now, a lot of people have a problem with title fights not being the main event. But I'll tell you what, Conor McGregor makes too much money. His contract is too ridiculous to not have him be the main event. Now, here's where I have a problem, is that damn interim label. By the way, Jon Jones for OSP, interim title. Yep, that's what it is. But Jose Aldo against Frank Edgar should be the outright title. Why McGregor could just leave the 145 division in the air and go to 170 just to get beat again? Because, look, let's be honest. I don't see McGregor being able to beat Diaz again. He might last longer, but he's not going to knock him out. Diaz took his best punches, and McGregor gassed out. Fang on the chat. By the way, you can hit me up on Spreaker.com or Spreaker app. Also on Twitter at Elaw31. Fang says, plus, I still don't believe in Jones. Talking about Jon Jones or OSP. I still don't believe in Jones. Never have, never will. Always said something didn't feel right about him, and then all that stuff happened. Jesse says, Fang, you might be right with how fake he acted, but as a fighter, he is the truth, my man. And Fang says he still doesn't believe it. Here's the thing. He's hard to figure out honestly, to me, it's hard to figure out because he's hard to figure out for the fact that he was full of it for the longest time, trying to pretend to be the good guy, try to be oh, I'm so nice, I'm a Christian, blah 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 blah, all that stuff, and then we hear that one interview where he and DC were going back and forth, and during when it was on air, Jon Jones super nice, and then Jones starts calling DC names, and I'm literally gonna kill you, and all this other stuff. Look, you need to just be yourself, and so now Jones is being himself for the most part. It seems like he's being himself. He's straight tweeting out, calling DC a bunch of names and stuff like that. And so, as a fighter, I always thought he was incredible. If it's true that he did not train in between fights. Oh, geez, Fang, really? Okay. Wow. Okay, so he says, I know it's MMA only, but Jones is the next Ray Rice, a.k.a. woman beater. Ray Rice, of course, former Baltimore running back who beat the hell out of his now wife, by the way. She stayed with him after he knocked her out in an elevator. Now, I don't know. I haven't seen an ounce of evidence that Jones is going to be a woman beater, but if he gets in trouble, it'll be something else. First, I don't see him not getting in trouble again because he's just that, arrogant and stupid, but it is what it is. Mike says, as long as Jones is focused, he will always be hard to beat. I agree with that fully. So back to this Conor McGregor Nate Diaz fight. Why Conor is a lot. Look, if this isn't confirmed that Conor McGregor basically owns and runs the UFC, I don't know what does. 2 fights in a row where Conor McGregor has left the 145 division just in the air, just floating, And refuses to go with the belt, goes up to 170 for the second time. Last time he got choked out, he got finished. He got put down and finished. He had to tap, okay? He had to give up. And, now he wants to go back up and fight Nate Diaz again. I don't see how it's going to be any different, okay? Other than the fight will probably go longer. But then you put Jose Aldo against Frankie Edgar for the interim belt. They're basically fighting for a chance to maybe fight Conor McGregor for the outright title. That's literally what that means. Interim featherweight title means you might get to fight Conor, because then Conor might just want to keep fighting at 170, and then the UFC, as wussy as they are, they won't take his belt. Okay, please believe that the UFC wants Conor McGregor to have a belt. They do not want Conor McGregor to be beltless. That just is not gonna work for their money. Plan. Okay, they want to keep that guy up. Remember when Nate Diaz, after the first fight, he was on Fox Sports 1 talking to Jake Laser, Frankie Edgar, Dominic Cruz, Brian Stan, and he says, they weren't going to give me no full camp for this guy, and then we're going to give you, and he was pointing to Frankie Edgar, they're not going to give you a full camp for this guy. Yeah, I mean, to me, I think that's true. I think the UFC would try to give McGregor a softball, but now Nate Diaz on a full camp. On 10 days with tequila still in his stomach during the fight, probably. You lose against him. You think you're gonna beat him at their full camp? Get out of here. Get out of here. Now he could do it. This is MMA. Anything can happen. Okay, but you're also at 170. You're way out of your league, man. Not to mention, if you put on more muscle, it's gonna be hard to cut that 145. Hell, I think it was today or yesterday, Max Holloway, and I believe it was Max Holloway, that said that he believes McGregor will never fight 145 again. I'm starting to lean that way. Again, second fight in a row, doesn't fight. Now, what happens if he loses against Nate again? We thought that the first loss to Nate forced his hand. He thought so as well. So when McGregor was talking about it's probably time to go down at 145 again, and instead he stays at 170, fighting Nate Diaz again. But what happens if he loses? Or to me, in my opinion, win. But let's say if. Okay, what happens if he loses to Nate Diaz again? What happens to McGregor? Goes back down to 145? Has to? It's kind of ridiculous. Fang says, is there an official statement saying he refused to give the belt up? I heard rumors that he said he would only give it up, that he would give it up, but Uncle Dana just sees dollar signs. That's exactly what I'm talking about. The UFC's best interest is to have Conor McGregor have a belt. Whether we like it or not, he's the biggest star in the UFC and in MMA in a long time. Some people say in forever, ever. He might be the biggest star ever in the UFC. Or even MMA, but I don't believe that. But some people have said that. Fang says he'll have one more fight at that weight. After that, he's going to fight at 170 or slightly under. I think if he loses to Nate Diaz here, he has to go down to 145, defend his belt against the winner of Edgar vs. Aldo. If he loses, of course. And then probably move up to 155. And I think that's going to be his weight right there. That's going to be the best place for him. But if he wins against Nate Diaz, that guy's going to fight Robbie Lawler, because that's a money fight. Again, the UFC does not give one crap about fair, who's next, rankings, or what makes sense. They're about that money. Okay? If this second fight against Nate Diaz doesn't tell you that they're about the money, I don't know what I need to tell you for you to believe that the UFC doesn't give two craps what we think. You know what I mean? So we need to let that thing go. That doesn't make sense. Why is the UFC doing that? That doesn't make sense. Forget the phrase "makes sense" in the UFC in the same sentence. Forget using that ever again, because nothing will make sense for a long time. Okay, it just doesn't. Fang says I still want to see him against Cowboy. I do too, especially now that that we've seen him against Nate. I want to see him against a stand-up guy. A guy that's not going to go to the ground with him. But the only thing I don't like is that Conor's a pressure guy, and Cowboy, once again, takes forever getting started. And sometimes he doesn't. We saw what RDA did to him. So it's just it's kind of crappy. So just as a little update here, this is the UFC 200 card so far. It's not finished. They don't even have anything completely set. But here's the fights on there: Jim Miller against Takanori Gomi, the Fireball Kid coming back. Then we got Sage Northcutt against Enrique Marin. Then I'm actually just stoked for this fight. Diego Sanchez against Joe Lozon is going to be legit. Please stay healthy, guys. Then Gegard Mousasi somehow got on this card. Somehow Gegard got on this card after all his crying and telling everyone to F off and forget what they care, what they think and all that stuff and stop booing me. He gets a fight at 200. Gegard Mousasi against Derek Brunson. Then we get a fight that's interesting. A fight between two guys that are too fat, they can't make weight, and they're both going to fight at 170. Johnny Hendricks against Kelvin Gastelum. That's going to be an interesting fight. And then this is another interesting fight because I want to see what Cain Velasquez, first of all, if Cain Velasquez shows up. And two, how much he has left. So number one ranked Cain Velasquez against number 7 Travis Happer Brown. Brown always shows up. It's whether Cain Velasquez is going to show up healthy or just show up at all. But if Cain Velasquez is going to show up healthy and not only that, but back in Cain Velasquez shape, it's very interesting to see that he was in awful shape for the last fight. And then, props to Verdum, who was, not an idiot and went and got used to the not only did he get used to the altitude of Mexico City, but he went higher to make sure he was ready to move, to fight at that altitude. So, and Cain was arrogant and thought he could do it in 2 weeks, and of course it's not going to happen. So, he messed up. And then, of course, as of now, the co-main event, and maybe there'll be another co-main on here. If they put Jones versus DC on this card, it'll be a ridiculous card. But Jose Aldo against Frankie Edgar for the interim featherweight title. I can't even say it seriously. That's just stupid. Anyway, and then main event, of course, Nate Diaz against Conor McGregor, part 2, non-title fight. So that's where we are, ladies and gentlemen. You know what's weird, though? Is that Nate Diaz versus Conor McGregor fight isn't for a belt when there's interim belts getting thrown around left and right. Jon Jones versus OSP is an interim belt. Frankie Edgar versus Jose Aldo is an interim belt. Now, I'm waiting to see just an interim belt for everything. I think at this point, every division is going to have an interim belt. It's so stupid. Frank says Cowboy. He picks Cowboy to be last and gets a choke off and the engine running. It will be flat out war. You know what? Like I said, I would love to see that fight if Cowboy doesn't just, freeze and wait some more and get smacked around and wait some more. It's just, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that Cowboy get in there and get smacked around. All right. Second to last subject here. We got Conor at WrestleMania. Now, I don't watch wrestling like regularly. I do watch WrestleMania when The Rock's going to be on it. I'm a sucker for that. Like when I was a kid, I was a huge fan, but I was only like a Rock and Stone Cold fan. Everyone whenever they weren't going to be on, I wasn't watching. I really didn't care. Once the Rock retired, I was done. Right. But there was rumors everywhere. Like, oh, they saw Conor McGregor in Dallas. There's been sightings of Conor McGregor in Dallas. First of all, I'm calling BS on that. I'm pretty sure he wasn't there. Okay. But that brought, he tweeted out, I'm not in Dallas for WrestleMania. I'm in whatever. I'm home or something. And then he goes, or am I? So immediately the internet, of course, jumps all over because most MMA writers and quote unquote journalists and people are big time wrestling fans still. Right. So they jumped all over it. Is Conor McGregor going to be at the, real quick, Mike makes a great point. Just blame McNugget for the BS interim belts. I agree. When Conor McGregor, was going to fight Jose Aldo and Jose busted his rib and Chad Mendes stepped in, Conor demanded a belt and the interim belt was made. So now, the UFC's like, oh, we just throw interim belts everywhere. It's like, Oprah, you get an interim belt and you get an interim belt. By the way, it took literally 5 seconds for someone to make that meme. Thank you for doing that. I appreciate that because that was awesome. But regardless, so Conor at WrestleMania, look, Ronda Rousey came out with The Rock. So I thought when The Rock came out, I thought for sure Conor was going to come out. In fact, the crowd thought Conor was going to come out. They were immediately all over it. They were chanting Conor. Now, can you imagine how happy? Like Dana White was probably the happiest right there because he wasn't even there. And people were chanting Conor. Okay. Can you imagine had he actually shown up? Please believe next WrestleMania, Conor McGregor is going to show up. Watch. Okay. Like it's insane that the UFC just wins at everything at this point. People were like, oh, the UFC messed up. This Reebok deal is going to, take them down. It hasn't helped them, but they haven't really lost a step either. They're as popular as they've ever been. Bellator is, they allow everyone sponsorships and they allow the fighters to make money and get their own sponsorships and blah, 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 blah. Still in the gutter. Still making circus fights. So, mind you, they are signing a lot of good talent. They have a lot of UFC guys over there now. So, it's, I don't know. I'm hoping to see that they I don't think they'll ever catch up to the UFC, but I do hope that they at least, keep bumping up, keep getting better, and at least give us a legitimate second promotion to watch. That's kind of big, right? Because I still don't believe Bellator with all the circus fights is even anywhere near legit. This is my opinion. You know what I mean? All right. Vanderlei Silva who's gonna fight for Ryzen. I'm gonna say Ryzen. I kept saying Risen, but it's Ryzen, I guess. He's gonna be in a tag team fight or grappling match. Sorry, a grappling tag team matchup. Kind of cool. Not sure how it's gonna work, but okay. He's taking a Kazushi Sakuraba, who is the man, and Hideo Takoro, another just bad dude. And then Silva's partner is going to be Kiyoshi Tamura, who is old as forever, I think. I'm not exactly sure how old he is, but he hasn't fought in years. I want to say at least 10 years he hasn't fought. I think Vanderlei actually beat him in Pride, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm kind of curious how this tag team is going to work for the grappling. So it'll be kind of crazy. Oh, Fang brought up this awesome thing. And I saw this and I tweeted out immediately because I think it was like the greatest thing ever. Somebody made a meme of Jon Jones in because they put that picture of Jon Jones in the orange jumpsuit, which of course he was wearing because he was in jail, and they put the UFC and the Reebok. It was so perfect, it almost looked real. It was just so good. And Fang says on chat on Spreaker, says Jones looked good in that Reebok orange. That meme was gold. I fully agree. And Mike says he needs to make that shirt for real. I fully agree with that too. I thought that was awesome. Jesse says, I thought this was an MMA thing, not fake ass wrestling from Japan. Ryzen is allegedly legit. Okay. So I'm just allegedly saying it's legit. Anyway, so that so far some of the fights on that next Ryzen card is Darren Cruikshank, the Detroit superstar, and against Shinji Saki, and Gabby Garcia's awful striking on display again against Anna Maliukova, who I don't know, and I'm assuming is another pro wrestler. Chris Barnett against Kirill Sidolnikov. Theodoros Akustolis against Jaydeep Singh, the guy who got just murdered by Fedor. Then Vadim Nemkov against Carl Albrechtstone. Jesus, with the names, people. Hisaki Kato against Yuta Watanabe. Kazuyuki Fujita against Jiri Prochazka. Alan Nascimento against Yuki Motoya. And Kanako Murata against Natalia Denisova. So that's your Ryzen card so far. But they got Vanderlei Silva on there. So it's gonna be a good. I don't know. I'm not saying it's gonna be a good card. I am saying people are gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it. I want to see what Vanderlei has. But Vanderlei now has plenty of time to train too. He was talking about he hasn't trained in like 3 years, so now he's getting back to regular training. I heard someone saw him. One guy I talk to all the time on Twitter and on and everything, part of the media, says that he saw him in Vegas and he had a tubby stomach. I don't believe that. I thought probably there's a shirt or something, but it's kind of weird. Fang says, all right, Fang, have a good one, man. Keep up the hard work. Jesse says, how much is Ryzen paying you to talk good about them? That's how you got your new car. Ha! I wish they were paying me, dude. I wish they were paying me money. I would so talk them like up to like better than UFC if they paid me. Let's be real. Who isn't? You know what I mean? So yeah. All right. Couple more headlines here as far as MMA is concerned. Mike Wilkinson apparently said he's been cut by the UFC. Not surprised, but a little surprised. Juliana Pena agreed to counseling following her assault arrest. If you guys remember, her and her friend were super drunk at a bar. She kicked like 2 dudes in the nuts for not letting him in to use the bathroom or something, and then she got arrested. And then what was the other one? Oh, this one was asinine. But World Series of Fighting, they just had their last event. World Series of Fighting 30. Somebody made $500 on that card. That's all they made. Like that's how the fight. They got paid to fight. They got $500. So, David Branch took home $130,000. No, I haven't seen any numbers on Clifford Starks. Hopefully, he got something similar because he deserves it. But David Branch retained his belt at, I believe that fight was at middleweight. Then John Fitch got $70,000 for his win over Ceferino, which of course got him the welterweight title. And I'm trying to see who got the $500. Okay, so Clifford Starks got $15,000. Jesus, this is awful. Ceferino got $15,000. Benny Magalhaes for his win got $14,000. Jake Hoon got $10,000. Abu Azaitar got $6,000. Danny Davis Jr. got $3,000. And oh man, that's awful. So check this out. Well, first of all, in the prelims, somebody actually made more than than a couple of the main card guys. Abubakar Nurmagomedov made $7,000 against Matt Frank, who made $4,000. Rex Harris got $3,000. Clinton Williams got $4,000. And here's where it gets jacked. Adam Akaviva got $4,000. Andres Ponce got $800. Zach Bono got 1,000. Jeff Roman, who lost that fight, $500. That's incredible. We're in 2016. Bellator wants to pretend that they're even close to the UFC. Okay? And, I mean, are you kidding me right now? Are you really seriously kidding me? That's just, it's awful. You're a professional athlete making $500. Now, mind you, that's acceptable and almost pretty much expected in like local regional fights, right? Anywhere in your state, the local little promotions. Yeah, $500. I get it. But World Series of Fighting, who want to pretend that they're this big organization, to me, clearly showing their butts on this one. So it's just ridiculous. I really feel bad for fighters that try to, that are fighting for their dreams. And here, you got your buck take, $500. This other guy won $800. Like, get out of here. A couple fights were just announced for UFC on Fox 20. That's in Chicago on July 23rd. Alex Oliveira taking on James Muntasri. That's going to be legit. And Luis Enrique against Dmitry Smolyakov at heavyweight. So that'll be fun. Anyway. All right. So that's actually, let's just go over. Actually, we have an event this weekend, don't we? April 10th? Is it April? Yeah. This Sunday, ladies and gentlemen, we have a card from Croatia, headlined by Ben Rothwell against Junior Dos Santos. That's it's a fight people were going back and forth about. Some people I talked to on Twitter were saying that it's going to be Rothwell by submission. Other people were saying JDS by knockout. Real quick, Jesse says, does that even cover his medicals? And he's talking about the $500. Probably not. Jesse says, by the way, that's why World Series Fighting held that event in a YMCA. Yeah, exactly. It's sad. It's super sad. Anyway. Ben Rothwell against Junior Dos Santos is the main event, but let's kick it off in the very beginning of the card. Lots of people you don't know, so I'm going to say a bunch of names that you're not even going to care about probably. So, Alessio Di Chirico against Bojan Velikovic for kicking off the early prelims at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, 7:30 a.m. Pacific Time, so get up early for the fights. Then Jared Cannonier, who we've seen before, the Killer Gorilla, taking on Cyril Asker, who's a silverback. So that's going to be fun. A silverback against a Killer Gorilla. Awful nicknames, ladies and gentlemen. Awful. Rob Whiteford, the Hammer. Dude, someone needs to make that nickname the Hummer. And just but you have to be a heavyweight to do it. Or be just ironic and be like a bantamweight or featherweight. It'd be crazy. Rob Whiteford, the Hammer, taking on Lucas Martins Minedo. So then FS1 prelims kick off at 12 or noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific Time. Filip Pejic against Damian Stasiak. There we go. Marbek Taisumov, who we've seen before, against Damir Hadzovic. Then a guy we haven't seen in a long time. Actually, two guys we haven't seen in a while. Ian Entwistle against Alejandro Perez is the second to last fight on the prelims. And in the main or featured prelim on FS1, Nicholas Dalby against Zach Cummins. Okay. Then Marina Moroz against Christina Stansiu is going to be your first main card fight. Then Igor Pokrajak against Jan Blachowicz. Next up, we get the Jesse Ventura look-like in Timothy Johnson against Marcin Tibura. Then this scary bastard, Francis Ngannou. If you guys remember, he's the one that knocked. I forgot who he knocked out real quick. And then Joe Rogan was trying to talk to him, and Francis goes, "Hey, I'm gonna go check on this guy real quick." And Joe Rogan goes, "Oh, okay, yeah, go ahead, yeah." He goes over, but he's a massive dude. Like Dana White should be trying to make this guy a superstar for real. He's a giant man. So. He's taking on Curtis Blades. It's awful real name. And then his nickname is Razor. So that's just bad. This is all around bad. Oh, Jesse okay, Jesse. All right, man. You're going to get put on the list if I say that. So I'm going to save you from the list. Ask Aaron about getting put on the list. All right, co-main event is Derek Lewis against Gabriel Gonzaga. We thought it was going to be Derek Lewis against Roy Nelson, but it turns out that was BS. So we get Derek Lewis against Gabriel Gonzaga. Why Gonzaga's still fighting, who knows, but it's what it is. And, of course, main event, Ben Rothwell against Junior Dos Santos. If JDS wins this fight, he just keeps on fighting, probably. If Ben Rothwell wins this fight, he's going to be screaming for a title shot. And I do not care to see. And, look, a lot of people are going to, they get mad at me when I say this. I really don't care for Ben Rothwell. Like, personality-wise, he's a cool guy. Like, seeing him on the... on those Q&As, I thought that was great. Dude's entertaining as hell. But as far as fighting goes, he's so weird and awkward. It's just, and then the post-fight laughing, and it's just weird. So I'm not a fan at all of Ben Rothwell going for a title fight. If he gets it, hey, great, do your thing. But I'll say this: how come Roy Nelson's never gotten a title fight? You know what I mean? So, and Fang will. I know he had to go to work, but Fang will definitely agree with me on that. All right, looking ahead to the rest of April, we get UFC live on Fox. It's UFC on Fox, headlined by Khabib Nurmagomedov against Tony Ferguson, an AKA guy against Tony Ferguson. I'm just hoping he shows up. You never know. Those AKA Nurmagomedov is injury prone, and now with everybody getting hurt at AKA, you never know what's going to happen. Co-main event is Glover Teixeira against Rashad Evans. That should be legit. Lyoto Machida comes back against Dan Henderson. So we're seeing a bunch of a couple fights with older gentlemen who just legends pretty much, except for Glover Teixeira, probably not much of a legend, but still. And the fight that I'm looking forward to that I think should be the main event, but won't be, or at least co-main. Rose Namajunas, Thug Rose against Tisha Torres. And this is pretty much, I think if Rose Namajunas wins this fight, she probably will get a title shot. So, other fights on this card, Beneil Dariush against Michael Chiesa. That's going to be legit. Cub Swanson comes back against Hakran Diaz. John Dodson against Manny Gamborian. Look, these two guys just like to swing hands, and someone's going to get knocked out in this little man fight, for sure. And Court McGee's fighting again. Against Santiago Ponzinibbio. That'll be legit. Oh, wow. Bethe Correia's on this card? She's on the wow. How the mighty have fallen. Remember when Bethe Correia fought for the title against Ronda Rousey? She's the main Fight Pass prelim against Raquel Pennington. I feel bad for Raquel Pennington. She should be at least Fox prelim, but whatever. And then Randy Brown taking on Michael Graves. Randy Brown's the rude boy, the guy that they picked up on one of those Dana White looking for a fight shows. Mutante's back. Sets up for hair against Kyle Magahais. Should be a jiu-jitsu thing. A jiu-jitsu fight, unless, of course, they just cancel each other out. Drew Dober's still fighting against Islam Makhachev. And the very first fight on the entire card is two dudes whose names I'm not even going to bother saying. Jesus. A Brazilian with a ridiculous last name against a Russian with a ridiculous last name. So yeah, that's April 16th. And then, of course, 197, April 23rd. Fight night, Overeem vs. Orlovsky, May 8th. 198, May 14th. Almeida against Garbrandt, May 29th. 199, June 4th. June 18th, we get a baller fight. Rory McDonald against Demon Wonderboy Thompson. Then July 8th and July 9th is a huge weekend. The Ultimate Fighter finale, Johanna Jędrzejczyk against Claudia Gadelha. And, of course, Nate Diaz against Conor McGregor at UFC 200. So that's your lineup for UFC fights, ladies and gentlemen, for a while here. All right, it's going to do it for me tonight. Appreciate you guys joining me for the very first episode of MMA Only again. Sorry, I keep the music on real quick. Again, I'm surprised that MMA Only is not taken. So now it's taken. If you guys have heard of a podcast or show or whatever with the name MMA Only, please let me know. I'll change it real fast. But if no one has it, it's mine. I'm taking it. If someone else tries to do it, hit him up on Twitter. Tell him it's taken, dude. Back off. Shout out to everyone listening tonight. Shout out to Jesse, Fang, Mike Jars. Appreciate you listening, my friend. I like all the guys that come out here and interact. I don't mind that at all. I know Skype was down tonight, but for the next one, I'm gonna have it up and everyone can call. I don't even care. We'll make a nice 2-hour show out of it if we want to. All right, follow me on Twitter at Elot31. Follow the page at Crossroads MMA. The website is crossroadsmma.com. I'm back to updating that thing as much as possible. Still on iTunes. Just search Crossroads MMA. All the shows go on there. This will go on there tomorrow as well as on YouTube. We're everywhere. You can listen to us YouTube, iTunes, on here, anywhere. Stitcher, I believe, is still on, but I'll get back to you guys on that one. It's going to do it for me tonight. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Have a wonderful afternoon, night, good morning, wherever you are. And I'll catch you in the next episode of MMA Only. See ya!